Welcome to episode 38 of The Leap Home. Black, on white, on fire.
In this week's episode, Sam must navigate the streets of Watts, Los Angeles during the 1965 riots as a black man with a white fiancée. When his militant brother takes his partner hostage, Sam must decide whether to lead the police to his brother's door or leave his fiancée to her fate. But can he find a compromise, or is violence the only solution?
You, my man, have forgotten the fine flavor of sweet brown chocolate melting down to the rhythm of a 45.
Good evening, Ian. How are things?
Not too bad, Gerry. Are you enjoying the taste of chocolate?
On a 45?
It reminds me of a line from the musical The Book of Mormon, when the Mormons go to Uganda and they meet this girl, and the guy says, "Oh, she's a lovely shade of brown, like a latte."
Okay.
Another racism episode, but very much a different perspective.
It does have, yeah.
Although again written by Deborah Pratt.
Which is interesting because, I'll be honest, I thought that one character, Susan, was written extraordinarily naively.
Yeah.
Some of the things she was saying, or her expectations.
Yeah, well, I've got notes through the thing. Yeah, she doesn't seem to have any sense of self-awareness or self-preservation.
Not just self-awareness, but awareness of her environment. The time that...
She hasn't really been listening to the folk that she's been purportedly helping when she's been working at the centre. Well,
that's it. It'd be perhaps more understandable had this character been from somewhere else, like Kansas, and then came to LA and wasn't aware of the tensions and the atmosphere.
I mean, she even says the opposite. She's got a line in the episode where she says, "This is Los Angeles, not some, Midwest hillbilly town."
Yeah, and yet she thinks that everything will be cool and all sorts of scenarios would be accepted and brushed aside in that day.
I don't think she's really got her head around things.
Even the 90s, when this was made, it wasn't at the sort of utopian ideal the society that she had.
Imagines, yeah. Yeah, it's quite bold to make this episode in the 90s as well.
I thought so, yeah. The portrayal of the cops was interesting and refreshing as well, because up until, even to an extent today, but certainly back 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, cops were seen as always being the good guys, couldn't really do anything wrong.
Yeah, they're not really presented as good guys at all in this episode.
They're not.
But there is a bit of both sidesing.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
We'll get into that, no doubt.
We certainly will.
Sam gets into it, as usual, as well.
Oh, I thought he was improving.
He wasn't. There's a lot to discuss.
A lot, not just his romantic notions, but his
sense of self,
and his estimating of his capabilities and what he would be able to do. Yeah. And in fact, one of the first race-based episodes had the same sort of attitudes where he could solve all the problems and change things himself.
You've seen the future.
Yeah.
The future is friendly and cooperative. There's no racism in the 90s.
Nope. Or even today. I mean, well...
It's been cured long, long ago.
Yeah.
Social media stuff quickly before we get into this.
Go for it.
We are at Leap Home Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. We're at we're at Leap Home Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. We're at The Leap Home on Facebook. Our show notes can be found at theleaphome.com. And if you want to see or hear, indeed, each episode 1 week early, go to Columbo Podcast Productions on YouTube. Hit that little bell and the subscribe button and you'll get told every time a new episode pops up.
Before we start as well, I'd like to say that the score I thought was quite appropriate. And
I've got a couple of notes on this. It sets the mood quite well.
It's driving. There's a bit of tension it creates, throughout and also there's a different feel to this episode. I think a lot of stock footage, but it felt bigger. The explosions and the riot scenes were it was well done.
Definitely. I know, I would agree it was a good episode.
Although obviously a lot of it was stock footage.
There was stock. I mean, and the way that you can tell that it's stock footage as well. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, what you got to do, they've not got the budget to recreate riots and...
Or blend it in a bit more seamlessly. Yeah.
But anyway, an atmospheric episode.
Do you want to dig into the details?
Let's crack on.
After the usual intro, the tag is extended a little bit from last week, but also shortened in another way, so we get a completely different setup to what we'd anticipated.
Sure, okay, where are we first of all?
we are in Los Angeles, in the district of Watts. Sam is a young black man who is messing around with a young white woman.
But yes.
He doesn't know that yet.
We don't know that yet. So what do we know? We're on a rooftop at the moment.
Are they on a rooftop? I thought they were in the back of a truck.
No, it's a rooftop.
Is it a rooftop?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Sam finds himself on a makeshift bed and being kissed by this young woman we've referred to before. Her name's Susan.
He's happy to go along with this for the time being.
She reminds him that he promised to think only about her, or she'll give him medical school. She's not jealous of that.
Yeah.
So we're finding out that he and perhaps they are both soon to be doctors.
Yes. 3 older but still relatively young black men approach them.
Yeah, one's a very big chap, and they stride quite menacingly over to him, and he stands up to protect Susan.
Sam does, yes. Yes, this big guy's called Papa D, and he's told he could take Sam any way he wants.
I'm sure he could.
So he gets him in a bit of a chokehold, I think. But we don't see that until after the credits, because unlike the tag last week, no punches are thrown, and we go straight into the credits, like I say.
Yeah, back to the rooftop. Sam tries his karate skills again, his kung fu kick, but he's punched and then put in a chokehold.
Very quickly subdued.
Very easily, yes.
As is the girl. It seems that the ringleader of this group is a guy called Lonnie, who has previously warned Susan to stay away from his brother.
Yes.
Now, does he mean that in the literal sense?
Well, we don't know.
We don't know yet. He does.
Yeah, yes. They are brothers.
Literally brothers. She says she can't stay away, and using language that I can't repeat here, he says that all she loves is having a toy black boyfriend to show off to her liberal friends until she gets bored or it's not cool anymore.
Indeed. Now, while this is happening, Sam catches a glimpse of himself. I'm not sure what it was in.
It's reflected on something,
A window or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's obviously a young black guy. There was a touch, he reminded me of a young Muhammad Ali.
Did he?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Not with his fighting?
No, certainly not with his fighting, no.
Sam tells this guy, Lonnie, that that's his own business, but Lonnie says it's not, so long as he's busting his ass to put Sam through medical school.
Again, we discussed this last week. How much money is Lonnie making? What's he doing that he can afford to put someone through medical school?
Let's not ask too many questions about what Lonnie's doing.
Yeah.
Working honestly.
Because when we see later on that it's a fairly deprived area, there's no suggestion that Lonnie's successful in any way.
No, and there's also no suggestion that he's a criminal in any way.
No.
It's suggested that he is working hard for this money.
Yeah, but I mean, you can work as hard as you like, but if you've not got a job that pays well, it's putting someone through medical school. That's and keeping your own self, your own head above water. That's
maybe he's got a partial scholarship.
I just think, my criticism wasn't, of what Lonnie would be doing, more of the writing here. It seems
what does medical school cost? Yeah,
unbelievable. But anyway,
yeah. Lonnie's plan is for Sam to graduate from med school and stay local to take care of his quotes own people. And he's not interested in any of these barriers that white people have created that Susan suggests Sam might be capable of breaking down.
I think one of the other guys. Now there's big. I've just referred to the big guy,
D.
Papa, right? Papa
The
D.
other guy is BB.
BB, yeah, okay. And I think BB says that Sam has forgotten what colour he is, and he naively responds by saying that colour should have nothing.
Oh
to do
yeah,
with relationships.
Idealistic Sam.
It's like you have
Doesn't even know what year it is.
It doesn't. I mean, you can probably work it out, I suppose, by maybe the clothes and
maybe.
And was there music playing? No, there wasn't. I'm not sure.
Don't know.
But still, yeah.
But music can play at any time. You can still listen to music from the 60s.
I mean, he knows it's in his. He gets back into his lifetime.
Yes.
So
it's probably the past.
Yeah,
somewhere.
60s or the 70s, where relationships, mixed relationships were
you can tell
taboo.
the attitudes that he's getting. That is, yeah.
Of course. We shouldn't. Should not be a barrier. It's like, Sam, shut up.
We should say BB is by far the most
aggressive
of the two sidekicks.
Yeah, he's
Papa D's kind of a decent, sort of easygoing guy.
Papa D's a very cool guy, and later on we find that's demonstrated. But BB, yeah, he's a bit of a scumbag.
He comes across that way anyway.
Yeah,
we don't know why.
Guy.
We don't know what his motivations are.
But he doesn't come across the type of guy you'd really want to hang about with. Papa D, you'd be, it'd be cool. But
yeah.
BB's like the type of guy that just could turn, I think.
Yeah.
And Lonnie, because I think Lonnie, we find he's got similar sort of aggression, but his motives.
I think Lonnie might be smarter than BB.
Yeah, I think BB's more. Yeah, just a bit.
He just he feels it and acts on it.
Yeah,
sort of thing. Anyhow, Susan says that Sam has an internship lined up in Boston, which is not good news for Lonnie.
No. Sorry, going back as well, it reminded me, Sam claiming that race, colour should not make any difference to relationships. I was watching yesterday an old episode of the A-Team.
Okay.
From early 80s. In that show, if BA ever had a love interest,
yeah,
it was always a black woman.
Okay.
It would have to be. They would never have shown, even in the 80s.
And that's 15 years after Kirk and Uhura.
Yeah.
And Star Trek, which we covered.
But I noticed that a lot in the TV shows. That would generally be the case, and it's changing now, obviously, thankfully. But
to a certain extent, studios probably looking for offend the fewest people when you're making these decisions.
Yeah, and there's obviously a question
because they hold particular views. It's just a case of it's not worth the trouble.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of complaints and yeah. But again, is it you could argue that something like a TV studio, they are the people with the power to influence and change opinions by, that's
yeah, but they're more interested in making money.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, maybe advertisers would boycott.
Well, we already saw that in episodes of Quantum Leap, people threatening to boycott advertising for certain reasons.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, where were we?
Yeah, Susan says Sam's got this internship in Boston, which Lonnie tells him means that he's forgotten who he is. A bit like The Lion King.
Okay.
When Simba is told to remember who you are.
Sure. And I think there's another use of the N-word at this point as well. There are quite a few of those.
It's littered throughout the episode. It's not the only one that he uses, but yeah, that's in there. But Lonnie tells Sam that he's his brother and he loves him, but she's leaving and you're staying. And
at this point, the three guys walk off. We next find ourselves in Susan's street, her neighbourhood.
Yeah, well, before that, we get sort of a drive through LA with Melvin the Magnificent playing on the radio.
Yes.
Which I thought was quite. I presume that must be a real guy, maybe not.
Not sure.
But I didn't look into it. Anyway, is that my job?
Yes, it is.
Anyway, that's playing on the radio, and we see some commuter traffic, and Sam is driving Susan home. You can see he's had the door replaced in his car. Yeah. It's a completely different colour to the rest of the vehicle.
And we're told at this point that it is the 11th of August 1965.
We are.
So Sam pulls up on a suburban street. Yeah, we can tell it's a nice neighbourhood, this.
Yeah. Susan tells Sam nobody, including her, has a right to tell him what to do with his future before telling him what to do with his future.
Yes. Yeah, she's... her motivations, I'm not saying that Lonnie was correct, but I think there can be a touch of that, like showing how open-minded I am and sort of proving that sort of point. But anyway.
Yeah, she says she wants to be part of his future, but that's not going to be in Watts. And every time she looks in Lonnie's eyes, she's reminded of that.
She kisses him, and this is noticed by her unhappy policeman father, who comes out of the house to warn the pair of them.
Susan! You told me this was over.
We were studying and...
I asked you to stay away from my daughter. Now I'm telling you.
I don't think.
I don't give a damn what you think. You just stay away from Susan.
Stop it, Daddy.
Not while you're under my roof.
Then I'll move in with Ray.
No, wait a minute. Don't you think we should talk about this?
You mean you don't want me to move in with you?
I didn't say that.
He doesn't want you in Watts any more than I do.
I didn't say that either.
You stay away from him and you stay out of that damn ghetto.
I work there.
Susan, coloreds are beating whites in Watts right now. You think they're not going to turn on you because you volunteered for a couple months during the summer?
No! Because it's the 20th century. Because this is Los Angeles, California, not redneck Mississippi 100 years ago. Negroes and whites are getting married all the time. It doesn't matter anymore.
It does to me. I'll get in the house.
Come on, Susan. We'll work this out.
The hell you will.
Go in the house, Susan, please.
Daddy, the only difference between you and Lonnie is the color of your skin.
It must be nice for Susan living alone in her post-racial world.
It just seems so. I don't think anyone would be that naive to, it's all very well having...
Where's her lived experience? She must be seeing discrimination, or does she just not see it?
But she lives in the area. She works in or she straddles both these communities. What's she doing? What's she walking about with her
eyes shut?
Yeah. Now, as that clip was being played, as they were talking, we see that they have a black maid.
I said housekeeper, but yeah.
Well, she is listening to this and ushers Susan back in before...
She casts a glance back, though she's not happy.
No, I think she's disappointed.
Once the two of them are away inside, the father, whose name's Paul, apparently, he approaches Sam and tells him that he tried to deal with him as an individual, but he can't. He now has to deal with him for what he is.
Yeah, I think he refers to his kind.
Yes, he says he's a coloured man who will hurt my daughter. And even if he doesn't want to, he can't stop others from causing that pain on account of their relationship.
Yeah, because they are being influenced by the fanatical Malcolm X, as he calls him. Now, there's a sort of juxtaposition here of that neighbourhood to...
Yeah, we see Sam
Sam's.
returning to Watts, where Al finally shows up. He doesn't really show up much in this episode. He's pretty useless.
He is, and so is Ziggy, again. Yeah. Now, this area is clearly more run down but lively.
Yeah. It reminded me a bit of the party scene in the American football episode.
Yes.
Al asks Sam how it's going, and Sam says, Al, I'm black again.
Yeah, you don't need to tell me that, I can see. Sam summarises the predicament he finds himself in, what with being engaged to a white girl and getting it tight from both sides. And Al has to remind him of the situation that he's in, even in California 1965. It's like, yeah, of course.
There's still a lot of ignorance and bigotry.
Yeah, why are you and Susan not understanding this? That, you know.
Yeah. Sam asks why he's there, but Al's not sure. But
well, Ziggy's not sure again.
Well,
I mean, what's Ziggy doing?
Yeah. He does know that one of the worst riots the country has ever seen is about to go down in this neighbourhood.
Sam has no idea what he's talking about.
He doesn't remember it, obviously.
Now, I'll have to admit here, I hadn't heard of the Watts riot.
I thought that was people got upset when Curly left Coronation Street.
Yeah. But no, it's not, obviously it's not something we were like taught about at school or anything like that. So
I wasn't aware of it.
I think probably the oldest sort of riot we heard about was Rodney King when that happened back
in terms of LA.
Yeah.
That would be the one that comes to mind. But obviously maybe that sort of supersedes in the cultural memory.
Sure.
But yeah, maybe that's just because we're detached from the situation.
Oh, I'm sure that if you're brought up in, certainly if you're brought up in California, it'd be something that would be fairly well known.
Yeah, I would think so.
Especially in predominantly black schools, I would have thought.
Well, unless they've banned teaching it because it shows white people in a bad light now.
Yeah. For other listeners who won't be aware of this, give us a brief summary of what happened.
Well, Al has got a bit more information than Sam, who's Swiss cheesed his way out of this one.
Yeah, we hear that apparently it kicked off in Compton when a black man named Marquette Fry was arrested, and this resulted in 35 deaths and hundreds of injuries, and the place effectively nearly been burnt to the ground. There's explosions and bombs and looting and rioting and beatings, and
we're going to get to see some of that.
Yeah, I've got to see quite a lot of it actually.
Yeah.
I've done a lot, but obviously reading around this. So Compton apparently, which is now, you know, when we think of Compton, we hear about it from rappers and movies and all this type of stuff. You know, that it's an area that's got a certain reputation, but apparently that was because of this. So there was a sort of white flight from Compton after the riot. So
okay.
Yeah, that's why it became what it is now, or what it's known for now.
It's quite interesting. After Al gets into all this detail and gives Sam the background that he needs to think he can save everybody, Sam asks specifically about his relationship with Susan. And though Al says that Ziggy thinks there's an 85% chance he's there to keep them together, he is concerned about the way that Sam's talking about her.
Okay, so yeah, firstly, the eager beaver smiles and suggests that he might be there to stop the riot himself.
Yeah, no.
Why? I mean, what does he?
It's already started.
He's done this before.
This guy's been arrested already.
In the first, in the diner one, the
Colour of Truth.
Yes, he thought he could, you know,
solve it
in that town. Yeah.
I have seen the future.
But in any case, Al says, no, listen, the inciting incident, the arrest of Fry has already happened, so it's the fuse is lit now. You can't stop this.
Yeah.
And in any case, he's a young student. No one's going to listen to him.
No influence.
No authority, no influence. His brother Lonnie is fairly militant, so he's not going to change his mind.
No.
No matter what Sam says. And he's up to his old tricks again when Al asks about Susan and he goes all starry-eyed.
Yeah, he says only one other woman has ever looked at him like this.
What's he?
He thinks that Susan loves Sam.
He is... I'm sure listeners are getting bored of this same conversation, and I'm getting bored of saying it. But it's happening.
But Sam's got a reputation for being a good-hearted, decent guy.
Has he? Not in our podcast, he hasn't.
When you go look around at what how folk remember the series.
Well, but that's the thing. Hopefully we're doing a service here. Because people dip in and out and think this guy's really... But he's not. He's got
He's trouble.
I mean, we'd done the same thing with Jonathan Creek.
Yes.
If you actually look at some of his attitudes and his actions, he was quite a dangerous guy, Jonathan Creek, in certain instances and with a certain...
With the human trafficking and...
and his attitude towards women, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. But on the other hand, Captain Kirk was amazing. He's got this reputation as being a womanizer and a Lothario, and he was perfectly decent at all times.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, even Al comments on this. He says, you're mixing yourself up with Ray. You mean Ray? And Sam just ignores him. He's like, stop, cock blocking me, Al.
And Al, he understandably, correctly, he pulls him up in this sickening attitude and asks if he is falling in love with Susan. I mean, of course he is. He's a creep. Can't help himself.
He won't admit it.
But he tries to convince himself, as well as Al, that he isn't. But you can tell, oh, she loves Ray. It's not me. I know it's Ray. She loves... Maybe it's me.
It's probably me. She can see it in my eyes.
And because of this, she wouldn't let the riots come between them, apparently. He's only met her, like... How...
An hour ago? Yeah. Nah, that's crazy.
But Al has to sort of hammer home and reinforce the significance of this situation. It's not something that can be changed by one man. This rioting, this powder keg is a result of decades of oppression. It's not just this recent arrest. So even if he could in some way stop that, it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, it tells me it goes back way further than you can imagine.
Well, it goes back centuries.
Yes.
But in this area, it's going back decades.
Yeah. Just then. I've said that a few times in this set of notes, just then. Papa D shows up. He wants, as we heard at the top of the show, Sam to join him at a party and enjoy some sexual chocolate.
So Al advises that Sam go with him, and he nervously allows himself to be led across the street and into the house.
But he keeps talking to Al as he's doing it.
He does this quite a lot throughout the entire episode.
Yeah, he just says Al in front of people.
Inside, James Brown is playing as an attractive young woman called Sherry, slinks over to Sam and refers to him as...
Way better looking than Susan.
Yeah. And I hope Susan's the actor isn't listening to this.
Wow.
She refers to him as her Dr. Strangelove.
Yes, and there's a lot of references to how they were together in high school, and she'd like to help him with some anatomy revision.
Oh, she's not being very
subtle
at all. No, she's nearly going down on him at one point. She certainly dips anyway, and she's stroking.
She's trying to get him to dance.
Yeah,
in a sort of physical way, and even though Sam says he's engaged, she is not deterred.
No, he's doing his stutter. I mean, sometimes he's right in there, as we've discussed before.
He doesn't fancy her.
No, but he stutters and he stammers and he's, I can't do this. And he is, again, incredibly naive by saying that, Sherry, you'll like Susan.
I don't know what he's talking about that for. She doesn't care.
No, what she's trying to do, she doesn't want to like Susan.
No. It's like the Mashiko episode when the ex-girlfriend...
Yeah.
Trying to wind him up in the same way.
And she's obviously sarcastically responds by claiming that, you think Susan might I me over for tea?
Yeah. She even kisses him.
Yeah, she ignores his nonsense, kisses him, but the party is abruptly halted when Lonnie and BB push over the record player to let everyone know about the trouble on the streets and how the cops are arresting brothers all over the place, and they apparently beat up a pregnant woman on the street.
Yeah, Lonnie's up to high dough.
He's not happy.
Sam tells Lonnie not to start this, completely misunderstanding the situation.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah. And doesn't accept that they have to go out and sort of reclaim or hold their territory.
Yeah, he says people are going to get hurt, but Lonnie and Baby are fired up. They're ready to fight back, and they're not persuaded by Sam's argument.
No, but big guy, was it Papi D? Is that his name?
Yeah, he's not that excited about fighting.
No, he thinks Sam might be right, but Lonnie shouts a rousing war cry and tells him he can't sit back while the honky cops are abusing his people. So everyone follows him into the chaotic streets, with Sam still pleading with him to stop, and then shouting at everyone else to go home. It's like, Sam, what are you talking about? Come on, yous. Yeah, there's nothing to see here. All home. Come on, bed. It's late.
Listen to me.
Al, he's arrived again.
Yes, he says to Sam there's a chance that Susan could die now.
Yeah, 32%. And at this point, she turns up in a car driven by the maid, and she gets out and gives him a big hug.
Thank God.
What are you doing here?
I saw what was happening on the news and I got so afraid. I had this feeling something terrible was going to happen to you.
I tried to talk some sense into her, but she swore if I didn't bring her down here, she'd come on her own.
She's lucky she made it here alive, Sam.
You gotta go home.
Can't. I left a note telling Daddy I'm staying with you.
Negroes aren't the only ones going crazy tonight.
She quit tonight. She said after 11 years she didn't know who Daddy was.
Susan, this is crazy. I gotta get you home.
Daddy was right. You don't love me, do you?
This has nothing to do with love.
It has everything to do with it. If you love me as much as I love you, you'll want me with you at a time like this.
So that I can worry about you being hurt?
Sam, carry on this discussion inside. You gotta get her off the street before somebody sees her. You live over there, apartment 218.
We gotta go inside.
What is she talking about?
I don't know.
For once, Sam's perfectly right. Yeah, don't come here.
No, yeah, it's literally it's that the type of person who does turn up at these sort of scenes. You know, these days maybe it's for TikTok or whatever, but there was still in the past certain types who just like to plant themselves into these situations.
Yeah, they're doing a selfie video, and over my shoulder is where the body was found. It's,
Yeah.
shut up.
Yeah.
I can't. No, this is Sam's quite right. She shouldn't have come. She's going to get hurt, and even if she doesn't get hurt, he's going to have to worry about her getting hurt.
Yeah, she's put other people in jeopardy.
She's left a note for her dad saying, "Oh yeah, I've gone into the riots. I'm going to stay with Sam now."
We then get a montage of this rioting, looting, beatings, and we see Watts burn.
But then in the apartment with Sam and Susan, we hear on television news about this firebombing of stores.
And we hear about the National Guard being brought in and the destruction that's underway.
I thought this was quite good. Sorry.
The reflection? No?
No, I was going to talk about the perspective on the news being that of the cops and the white guys.
Yeah, I thought they used the news footage very well in this episode.
Yeah, of course, if it's real news footage, that makes sense. That's how it would have been reported.
Do you think it was?
Well, whether it was or it wasn't, it sounded authentic.
Yeah, it was a nice mechanism to relay that information. But no, at the start of this scene, there's a touch of the Columbo's about it. We had Sam's reflection in the TV for a brief second as we...
Right, and was it Sam?
No, it was Ray. Yeah.
Sometimes they don't always catch those reflections.
Yeah.
Susan says she almost went home but had to be with Sam. This makes no sense.
Yeah, and she is known in the area and she'll be fine. I'll be cool, the guys know me.
Oh yeah, well they're getting beat up by the police and stuff.
Not just that, it's what you think every single person knows your enemy. Even if there are people who know you and won't harm you.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
And even if they don't want you to get hurt, they'll get hurt trying to stop you getting hurt. Yeah. You're just causing trouble.
But Sam puts it quite bluntly but patronisingly. People don't care. They only see her colour and he's going to get her home.
Well, he gets that from Al. Al gives him that line.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam says he's not leaving when Susan suggests he come up to her dad's house.
Yeah, and then I think she talks of them getting a place on campus before going to Boston. Al concedes she might be right.
Well, he's just looking for a way for Sam to achieve his goal for the mission, not what the best thing to do is.
But he says no, he has to stay there. Why? If he's got a way out as well, he doesn't have to stay in this area.
Well, he's got a loyalty to his family.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Well, we say a loyalty to his family, but it's not like his family are these sort of shrinking violet. I mean, Lonnie's right up for this. Lonnie's going out there looking to get involved, so it's not like they're barricading themselves in and he's going to protect them. They're right into it.
Yeah, that's true. His mother, or Ray's mother, shows up at this point. Yeah,
we hear a scream and they go to the door to find the mother with blood coming from her head, and she's extremely upset as she describes the scenes outside.
Yes, she was on a bus that got attacked. It was almost knocked over and she was hit in the head by a stone, do you think?
She hugs Sam but is shocked to find Susan there and warns him that he's got to get her out of there or she's going to be killed. Now, rather than go, like, this reminded me of The Purge.
Right.
You watched that before? The
No,
Purge
but I know
movies?
the theory.
Yeah. It's a type of sort of horror type movie where you shout at the screen, don't do this and don't do that. And I'm thinking, people aren't coming into houses here and dragging
It's
people
on the
out.
streets. She'll be fine in the house.
Just keep her in the house, put her in a bedroom, put her under the duvet, keep the lights out, and no one will know she's there. Wait till it all dies down. Moving her is the more dangerous thing.
At this point, yes.
Anyway, things get worse.
Just then, the lights go out. This causes great upset for Mama.
Back in the street, we have some dramatic effects as we see cars being blown up and...
I think it's a TV car.
Yes, it was, yeah.
From a network.
With pitched battles between cops and black people.
Yeah, locals.
It's not just locals. I'm sure the cops wouldn't be beating up any white locals.
I'm sure they're not out.
Yeah.
Anyhow, back in the apartment, Sam was woken. He slept right through to 11 o'clock the following morning.
Middle of riots.
I can't leave. I can't. Oh, I'm a wee bit sleepy though.
And it's not that. It's not a couple of hours. 11 o'clock. It's a long night.
she's brought him pancakes.
Everyone's cool. So that's my point.
Yeah.
Just stay where you are.
Yeah, there was no need to do anything else.
Oh. Anyway.
Susan is asleep in Sam's room, and although the phones are out, that everything seems okay.
Yeah, the power's back on. And I'm thinking, nah, I don't buy that for a second. It's like someone's obviously been damaged, the local generator
Who's
or
repaired
whatever.
that?
In the middle of these riots, yeah, it's bad enough. Even today, there can be weather damage.
Yeah.
And we see that in 2023 there are communities that have went without power for like 4 days because they can't fix it. In the middle of a riot, they're not sending out engineers.
No, that doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
Anyhow, Susan shows up and laments the fact, or is it Mama that says they can't get away from the hate? Yes, it's Mama says.
Yeah.
And then Sam gets really preachy.
Yeah, he responds by saying that perhaps it's not the place, but rather the people who can make a difference.
It's all our fault. Us black people.
Yeah. And this causes her to tell him that that is why he should stay and be a doctor, to give the kids a role model, the kids in Watts a role model.
Yeah. He says that's what Lonnie wants in a way, but Lonnie's scared that Sam's going to leave. But Mama says she raised him better than that.
Yeah.
There's no way he'll leave.
No, I mean, he does have a lot of hate, she says, but she does care. He does care. It's
Yes.
coming from a
Lonnie,
sense
yes.
of justice, I suppose.
She tells Sam that God gave him a gift to make these streets better, and the only thing that can change that is if Susan takes him away.
Yeah. You see, I'm not convinced anyway that this whole sort of role model, one local doctor working in a overworked GP practice somewhere, dealing with
minimal.
It's none of these kids are going to be going, oh, that's what I want to be like,
No.
It's just wishful thinking.
We should say Susan has shown up at this point.
Yeah, she is listening in and concedes that she may take him away.
I found Sam hard to deal with in the rest of this scene.
Explain.
So Mama tells Susan that whatever kids she and Sam have will be hard. Will have a hard time wherever they are because they won't be black and they won't be white. But Sam comes in with, they'll be human. Of course they'll be human.
It's disgraceful. That's what I'm saying. This writing, I just don't believe it. That there could be people here that would believe this nonsense. It's even today, no one is saying, oh, I don't see colour, I just see humans. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's all very idealistic, but it's garbage.
Yeah,
it's just unrealistic.
I think I've said this before in the podcast. The word "human" is my least favourite word. I hate when it's used. There's never a context where it's more appropriate than person or people or.
Yeah.
It just gets used by people who want to sound like they're smart.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they don't get into this conversation too much because Lonnie, Baby, and Papa D show up.
Yeah, with their guns.
Yes.
They're armed to the teeth.
Yes, although Papa D's still grinning.
They want to know why Susan is there, and Lonnie refers to her as a racist. Although the big man, he dismisses this suggestion straight away. He says she's not, don't talk rubbish.
Yeah. Sam starts tending to the injuries they've sustained as they talk about what they've seen during the night.
Yeah, well, I think it's only
BB's got a sore arm.
He admits that he done it while burning out the cracker store owner Weintraub. So he's a Jewish, I'd imagine, store owner.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter. He's Jewish. He's not black. So he's getting burned out.
It's pointed out that there's a black person who works at this store.
Yeah, but he's not happy with this. He says, BB that is, he says, yeah, he's been there for 10 years. He's a store boy. He's never been trained up to do anything else. He's quite happy to be employed as effectively just a skivvy.
Yeah. So, justified.
Well,
in their eyes.
In their eyes, yeah, burned out. I don't care if he's given him gainful employment for 10 years. And perhaps that guy was happy enough. Did he ever say, I can do more? He's like, no, I'll just go and do my job. I'm quite happy, content.
Yeah, quite content, yeah.
Anyway.
Sam tells BB that he needs stitches, which makes him a bit angry. Yeah,
he tells him to get on with it. He says, what is your medical training, your medical education been a waste of time? Just get it done. And I think Sam, he sort of stands up for himself and says, you're not making it easy for me to help you.
Susan suggests that they go to the clinic to deal with this because there's medical materials, whatever else there.
Well, but before that...
Well, Mama says she's got a sewing kit in her room.
No. So when Sam says you're not making it easy, Lonnie tells him he will help, as he's a fellow black man. But Sam says it's nothing to do with the race and more to do with the fact that if he doesn't help him, he'll bleed to death. No, he won't.
Yeah, we cut his arm.
Cut arm.
Yeah, no, he's not dying.
Bleed to death. What are you talking about, Sam?
It's been dramatic.
Overly dramatic, yeah.
So after Mama says she's got a swing kit in the bedroom, Susan suggests the clinic.
And Sam agrees. He says, yeah, that's where I should be. I should be there helping people.
But there's no key.
There's not a key, but they've got a way around that. But Sam, you're not here to help people.
No. Why is he? Oh.
Listen to Al. You're here to do one thing. Because what happens if you step outside? You could kill Ray.
Yes. Or Susan. Yeah. We get some dramatic music playing as Papa D says the one thing you don't need in Watts these days is a key. We then get a brief shot of a brick going through the pharmacy window.
Yes.
And then some stock footage of more rioting.
Well, I think what it does is now it's moved from day to night time.
Yes.
It shows that. So we're in the clinic. Susan is buzzing.
Oh yeah, she's getting to do her little white saviour bit.
Yeah, she says she feels like a real doctor, I think, because she's under pressure, overworked.
And she's handing him swabs.
Yeah, not had anything to eat. And at this point, what happens?
A woman comes in with an injured child who seems perfectly happy.
Yeah, so obviously a child actor. It's just like, just pretend, play dead.
Yeah.
Sam takes a look and is positive that he can help, but the mother reacts badly when she sees Susan and calls her a honky. That's I thought was a disgraceful attitude. I don't care if my daughter was in a bad way. If the guy came through and had a swastika tattooed his head, I wouldn't care. But listen, just get him
qualified. Yeah,
get him fixed up. We'll deal with that later.
I'll get him fixed up. I'm not giving him any vaccines.
No, but I couldn't care less. Like at this point, if he can save my kid, but she picks up her son. It's like your attitudes are so bad that you're willing for your kid to die.
Sam's able to intervene though and says that he and his mother will fix the kid up and Susan will stay out of the way.
Yeah,
which makes Susan sad. She thinks it's all about her.
And we cut to Sam later as he approaches his still devastated fiancée.
See, Ray? See what it would be like?
Susan, you helped a lot of people today who appreciated it.
Did they, Ray? That's not what I saw in their eyes. I saw anger and hatred. They tolerated me only because they were hurting and needed help.
That's not true.
How would you know? You're one of them.
You're tired, you wouldn't be talking like this.
Maybe that's when the truth comes out. I can't go through life fighting people who hate me for the color of my skin.
I think that's how everybody in Watts must feel tonight.
Your mother was right. We'll never be just a husband and wife. We'll be a black husband and a white wife. And neither race will ever let us forget it.
All that matters is that we do.
I'm not sure anymore, Ray. I'm just not sure.
Ray! Ray! He's been bad, man!
So we have Susan becoming a massive racist with a victim complex in a matter of minutes.
Oh, it must be tough being a white kid.
Yep.
They're the ones that are put upon.
She's running. There's a riot here and she's going, yes, this racism I'm experiencing is terrible.
Oh, no. There's no such thing as racism against white people. Let's just say this clearly. It doesn't exist, and if you think it does, you're an idiot.
As we heard there, they were interrupted by the big man being carried in with a critical injury. But even then, BB is not happy with Susan helping until Sam puts his foot down.
Yeah, he squares up to BB and gets him to back down.
The phones are dead, so they can't call an ambulance. Now, this is just like expecting the generator, the power engineer to come out. Look at the scene outside. This is a war zone.
Get there, yeah.
Yeah, but even if it could get there, like, how many ambulances do you have? They'll be dealing with, it's like, it'd be the equivalent of like in 9/11. Saying, I'm really hurt, get me an ambulance quick. We're a bit busy. Things are going on.
Yeah.
For an ambulance, we'll just wait. How long will it be? And
Sam realises that Papa D is going to die. So they have this sort of confab about, should we get the police to take him to the hospital?
What? The police?
So they're the ones that shot him.
Yeah. But also, they're a little bit busy as well, beating up black people.
Yes. It's not going to happen. But anyway, it's rendered moot when he dies.
Yeah, that's pretty much
really
it.
Quickly.
Yeah.
And then Lonnie.
But he can't believe it at first. He tries to revive him.
Yes. And BB reacts with violence as usual, picking up his gun and grabbing Susan by the hair, telling her it's her fault.
But Sam stands and claims the opposite. He says that the big man went with him and Lonnie when he didn't want to, and it's their fault that he's dead.
Because he believed in them. Well, he's an adult, he can do what he wants. It's not really their fault.
Lonnie obviously doesn't take this well, and with menace he claims that he will see no more black people die that night.
He grabs Susan and leads her out of the clinic with Sam trying to go after him, and he's stopped.
Yeah, well, before that, he promises that if any more of his brothers die, Susan's going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to execute her. And BB prevents Sam from leaving by pulling his gun on him.
Sam tries to do a karate kick.
He falls over and slips on the blood or something.
Yeah. But the gun's dropped and the mother is able to grab it. And I think she's able to stop Sam taking a beating, a fist beating.
For now.
Yeah.
So she sends Sam out after Lonnie and tells BB that they're all fools.
Yeah. I think he asked BB where is he taking her, but how would he know? He's just done it there and then.
He's just left, yeah.
Wasn't a plan that they had.
When you find out where he has taken them, it's a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, it's like, where would you go? Where's the last place you would think of?
I'm going to hunt through it, the whole city.
Yeah. We're back in the street. We get more shots of the carnage and we see Sam almost blown up outside an exploding store.
Yeah, Al has shown up. This is the third time he's shown up in the episode. And
he's got bad news.
Well, he's found it hard enough to find Sam. He can't find Susan. But there is an 82% chance she's going to die now.
Yeah, and for some reason, again, Ziggy can't get this lock on her.
Yeah. So he sends Sam away as the police charge through him. Like through Al. Literally through Al.
So, where are Lonnie and Susan hiding out?
They're at the house.
They're watching the TV report.
Which says that the daughter of the police chief is going to be executed if any more black people die. And Lonnie's like, oh, BB got the word out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. How would BB get the word out?
Just go up to the TV guy and say, just so you know.
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway.
Susan tries to explain that killing her will make it worse, but he makes her look out the window and admit that it can't get any worse.
Yeah, well, I think he's sitting there loading his gun. And she's going, listen, my dad can't stop this. It's a riot. Everyone's not under control.
Yeah. Lonnie explains to her that when black people are shot, it's easily forgotten, but if she dies, people will remember it.
That's a fair point, yeah.
Yeah, he's quite right.
And in any case, he's going to be ready when they come for him.
She's convinced that he's going to kill her no matter what, whether any more people die or not.
I think that's probably his plan.
Yeah, he wants to make a point.
Yeah.
But he does tell her that if her dad stops the killing, he will let her go.
She says that's not possible, and he sinisterly agrees with her.
Yeah. We then see a bit more rioting before Al finds Sam, who's lost. It turns out Al says that Lonnie and Susan are back in the apartment where they came from.
Yeah.
And he gives Sam directions. But before he can get there, he gets beaten up by the police.
Yeah, he's grabbed and beaten by two truncheon-wielding cops as we see the rioting increase. We also see Susan's dad on his radio desperately looking for an update on his daughter and asking for confirmation that they have managed to stop the media reporting on any more deaths until she's safe.
He then says he's told the men to fall back and fire only if fired upon, which doesn't go well with his superiors.
No, he says you can't do that.
Yeah, he's like, it's my daughter, I can do what I want.
Chief of police and all that sort of stuff, yeah.
Anyhow, he sees Sam and recognising him rushes over.
He's partially conscious. He's in a bad way.
He's been beaten up quite badly, but Sam is able to tell Paul that Lonnie has Susan. Unfortunately, they see two bad guys get killed just in front of them, and that makes Paul somewhat concerned for his daughter's safety.
Is this the snipers? Is that on the roof? Yeah. It's like, as long as no more black guys get killed, it'll be two just fall down. Unfortunate.
Yes, but Sam is able to persuade Paul to let him go to the apartment ahead of the police, saying that if anyone can stop Lonnie, it will be him. But he's not stopped him up till now.
No.
Lonnie doesn't listen to him.
He's just making it worse. Look, she's been kidnapped and he's got himself beaten up.
Yeah.
You're hopeless. Back at the apartment, the TV reports claim there's been no deaths apparently in the last 2 hours, but the violence continues as Al arrives on the scene.
Yes, and as Sam limps towards the apartment, we hear an officer on a loudspeaker announcing that they've surrounded the building and Lonnie cannot get out.
Yeah, he says Lonnie should come to the window with his hands on his head, and before I knew what they were going to do, I've said, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Watch out for the sniper.
Well, just then the sniper points out the spot that he's going to take. It says he promises not to shoot unless it's a clean kill.
Yeah. So in the apartment now, the dazed Sam announces himself and comes in where a terrified Susan tells him that Lonnie wants to die.
Lonnie tells Sam that traitors get shot, and Al agrees with what Susan has to say.
Yeah, but I think Sam asks Lonnie if he intended becoming a martyr, and he says, no,
they're wrong. Both Susan and Al are completely wrong. He doesn't want to die. And Sam asks him whether he's tired or scared, but he says he's not afraid of anything.
Except living.
Well, according to Sam.
Outside, we see the sniper is locked and loaded on the roof, as Sam has one last attempt to reason with his brother.
You can die for what? But can you live for it? You're talking like a fool. You're acting like one. I need you, Lonnie. Mama needs you. We all need you. We need you to make people listen.
I think you're reaching him, Sam.
Give me the gun, Lonnie. Please. Her daddy's killing us out there to be better than he is. Be more just and more right and stay alive to make sure that what happens out there never happens again.
Just in, snipers on the corner of 103rd and Compton were shot after an intense gun battle with police. The snipers were taken to L.A. General, where their condition is unknown at this time.
Unknown?
Updates on their condition as soon
Those brothers are dead.
Now,
Come on, move your head out of the way. Come on. I love her, Lonnie. And I can't believe that my brother would murder what I love.
The ploy to have the media not report on deaths hasn't really worked out so well for
Lonnie's able to work it out.
He's not
straight
an
away.
idiot.
He's quite tearful now, and he considers his position as the sniper tries to get a clear shot at him from the rooftop. He breaks down and mentions all the pain that he's witnessed and he's felt, and then drops his gun, but tells both of them to get out of his face, which isn't a great idea.
No, because as soon as Sam goes to leave, he no longer blocks the shot they have on Lonnie.
Straight through the forehead. It was impressive. I have to get a round of applause for that. It was a
Good shot.
very good shot, yeah.
Especially through a window.
Susan herself shouts out through the window that he let her go and then apologises to Sam as he cradles Lonnie's body.
The police come up the stairs and...
Including, the father.
Including Paul, yeah, and Sam's asking why Lonnie had to die, and Paul's like, oh, we never knew.
This is a fair point. Like, if you take away the reason for the riots, if you've got a hostage situation, I mean, that's going to happen.
Yeah, they can't assume that you've let them go.
They would have no way of knowing. So if he's taking that hostage there, you're getting shot. I mean, when you take a hostage with a gun in the States, you're taking that risk.
Sam's very emotional at this point and talks openly to Al, who's there, even though everyone can hear him.
Do you think that was effectively suicide by cop. Because, you know, just moments earlier, they were talking about how he's tired of living and didn't want to live anymore. So do you think he knew when he says get out?
No, I think when he would let them go, he thought that he would. I don't think he thought he was going to be killed.
You sure?
But then he would have been arrested.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be able to influence much.
No, I think
Kidnapping and stuff.
I think there's a chance he might have known that was coming.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Like I say, Sam keeps talking to Al, even though everyone can hear him, saying that why did Lonnie have to die, and is it enough that the two of them are going to stay in Watts together? Although Susan says, "Oh, we have to stay now. Racism can be cured by us."
But I think Sam goes all weird and claims that he has to stay.
Yeah, and Al's like, "No, you don't. You're about to leap."
He says, "No, me, I need to stay." He's a weirdo.
Al tells Sam that he did it, and then Sam says he doesn't know if it's enough. Then he leaps
into a sort of low-rent bar inside a magician's sword box and having an extremely close shave, which causes him to break out and find that his assistant is a young girl, and he's performing a magic trick.
He's the great Spontini. Oh. It's interesting that his emotions don't carry over. So he was crying, sobbing, and then he leaps into this body, and he's not.
Maybe there's some sort of reset when you leap.
Yeah, maybe
because you're physically changing as well.
Maybe it takes longer than we see, and he's aware that he's leaping, and it lets him.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyhow, that's the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. Quite intense.
It was a very intense, and as we mentioned at the top as well, I thought that intensity was augmented, driven by the score.
Yes, it was very good.
Quite pulsating, yeah.
Did you feel there was any justification for the police brutality?
No. So having looked into this is the thing that we should say, is that this is just the one thing, the straw that broke the camel's back. This is going to happen because of the decades and centuries of oppression. But when I did look into it, it did appear that the actual incident that caused it, this guy, Marquette Fire, was actually a drunk driver, had been arrested probably quite legitimately for drink driving. I don't think he was doing anything particularly heroic. And then I think his family came down and started causing problems because, you can't arrest my boy. He was like, if you drink driving, you probably could. Yeah,
but it's not because of that one thing.
No, that's my point. It's not. That's what's happening anyway. These were tensions that were building because of all the other injustices.
So Lonnie was right all along.
Yeah, Lonnie obviously had a very good reason to have the feelings and the hatred that he does have. I would have the same myself if you're being oppressed by a group.
Yep.
And your family, through generations, you've been oppressed. Of course, there'll be
and maybe perceive injustices that aren't as bad as they seem, but on top of other things, they're just another instrument of oppression.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like with the incident of being arrested, it's very easy in those circumstances to see how that you could assume, even if it was legitimate.
And I suppose the point is it doesn't matter that it was legitimate because they probably would have arrested him anyway. Yeah. And if not him, then somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it might well be just in fact, there would have been a history probably and there is, of black guys been pulled over. That might be the thing as well.
Today.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. So it may well be that there wasn't a reason to pull him over other than he was black. And then luckily for the police's point of view, you're drunk.
Yeah.
But even then as well, I'm not sure of drink driving, what the actual laws were back then.
Well, certainly the limit would be higher, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think it was far more, and we've discussed this before as well. I think in the States there's more of a tolerance towards drink driving.
That's not the point anyway.
No.
Any other thoughts on racism?
Not on racism, no. I thought again it was the subject was tackled well, but
Sam's so challenging.
Sam and Susan in this weren't written.
I mean, it must be deliberate that they're writing him like this.
Yeah.
Anyway. Some trivia.
Sure.
Aired on the 9th of November 1990. Directed by Joe Napolitano. We've heard from him before. This was his 5th of 12. He first showed up directing Pool Hall Blues, so we talked about him on the podcast for that one. Written again, as we've said already, by Deborah Pratt. 8th of 20 writing credits for her, and we talked about her at some length on The Colour of Truth back in season 1. Lonnie was played by Gregory Miller. This was his second Quantum Leap. He had a small part in MIA at the end of last season, which we didn't even mention. He's also appeared in a number of movies and shows, including Lethal Weapon 3, Murder, She Wrote, NYPD Blue. He toured with Billie Holiday for a number of years, and he died when he was 57 in 2003. Susan was played by Corey Henninger. This is her only Quantum Leap, and she didn't do much else. She was in Nash Bridges, Jake and the Fat Man. No screen credits since 2003. Papa D was played by Ron Taylor. This was his only Quantum Leap, but he was in 2 episodes of Deep Space Nine as a Klingon chef. He's also been in Matlock, Twin Peaks. He was the voice of Bleeding Gums Murphy.
I first was aware of him in Matlock when I watched it years ago.
Right.
He's quite a big star.
Yeah. So Bleeding Gums Murphy was in The Simpsons, if folk haven't heard of it. Quite a famous episode, the first one he's in. He died in 2002. He was just 49, had a heart attack. I suppose fairly predictable.
Not massively surprising, but I think, did he not win Grammy Award winner? Or?
I certainly think he was active in a number of different
talented
fields.
guy, yeah.
Paul Brewster, the police captain, was played by Mark Alemo, favourite of mine.
Oh, he has been in everything, really. Everything from our childhoods, you know. It's,
right the way through.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, he's a Star Trek legend. He played Gul Dukat, initially in Star Trek The Next Generation, and then throughout Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He also played other characters, but he played that one for a decade.
Yeah.
He was basically the key villain throughout Deep Space Nine.
Tango and Cash.
Yep, he was in Total Recall, Tango Cash, Knight Rider, loads of other things.
The A-Team, all the way back to Barnaby Jones, I think.
Everything except Columbo.
Exactly.
He's now 80. His last screen credit was 2010, but he did appear in the Deep Space Nine documentary, What We Left Behind, in 2018, so he's still kicking about.
Good.
Carol, or CCH Pounder, played Mama Harper, and she's turned out to be quite the star herself.
Okay.
This is her only Quantum Leap, but she's also been in Miami Vice. She had a good run in ER. She's in both the Avatar movies. She's still acting. She's 70 now. So she could have been that old when she did.
No, I was going to say, she's younger than what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, so she would have done this in 1990, so that's 33 years ago. So in her late 30s.
Really? Can't be right.
Well, that's what the maths say.
Okay, yeah, well, maybe. I suppose late 30s she's got
made up to look older, I guess.
And she's what? Yeah, got a son who's 20. So
Anyhow, trivia. Deborah Pratt, who wrote this, also wrote Colour of Truth, explored some related themes. She has said that her own interracial marriage provided some inspiration for this episode.
I'm sure.
The episode, as you can imagine, was nominated for an Emmy for outstanding sound editing. Another interesting one, in this riot scene, you see the police officer on the radio. The voice on the other end is W.K. Stratton, who is kind of like the Vito Scotti of Quantum Leap. He's got the most guest appearances out of anybody if you include vocal performances. He was in Genesis at the start. He was in Goodnight Dear Heart, and he's got 4 more appearances to come.
Very good.
Wouldn't learn anything.
Yeah.
On this date, the Watts riots.
What happened then?
You got anything else?
A famous birth. We've got EGOT and BAFTA winner Viola Davis. I think you've probably watched more of her stuff than
she was in Fences, she was in Suicide Squad. She's, I think, a recurring DC Universe character, which is as you say, recently became an EGOT.
Quite appropriate that a powerful, successful woman born
on the day. Yeah.
And also appropriately, we had in the UK, the number one was the Beatles with Help.
Okay.
And in the US, we had I Got You Babe with obviously Sonny and Cher. And on the same day, the Beatles movie Help was released in the States. That's probably why it wasn't number one, because I'd imagine it was maybe released later.
Subsequently,
yeah.
Okay. Next week, as we already heard, it's The Great Spontini, where Sam has to save a magician's daughter. So we will see you in 1974.
Until then,
cheerio.
Bye-bye.